Sex lives in focus for Ukraine's injured veterans. At a modern office in central Kyiv, a 26-year-old Ukrainian veteran is proudly playing a video on his phone that shows him passionately kissing a young woman in a kitchen. It is an advert for Resex, a charity that tries to help former soldiers with their sex lives after suffering physical and mental trauma. In March last year, Gleb Strizko, then a Marine, was one of the city's defenders. A Russian blast knocked him from the third floor of a building to the ground. He was then crushed under rubble. Gleb's pelvis, jaw and nose was broken, and as well as being badly concussed, he says the heat of the explosion melted his tactical goggles onto his face. He was then captured by Russian forces and taken as a prisoner of war. The following month, Gleb was released and sent back to Ukrainian territory as part of a prisoner exchange. But he says he received little medical care during his time in captivity. The BBC first spoke to Gleb just weeks after his release, and later found him at a hospital in the western city of Lviv. It was while Gleb worked on his recovery that Resex approached him. After my pelvis injury, I had problems that took some time to heal. And the issue of sex wasn't talked much about, so I wouldn't want that to happen to other people like me, he says. Ivona Kostina is one of the founders of Veteran Hub, the group which runs the Resex project. She says they first had the idea for the project back in 2018, after reading about the issue for U.S. soldiers. They faced some confusion from the public and veterans when they first asked for responses to questions online. People are dying, you're thinking about sex. Ivona says. There's sex in the hospital, sex at home, sex before procedures, sex after. There's a lot of good sex going on, Ivona says. We were like, wow, okay, how can we be helpful here? The charity has printed some 6,000 booklets and sent them out to medical centers, veterans and their families all around Ukraine, and made them available online. Resex has also launched a social media campaign with videos, graphics, and a helpline. The charity covers everything from masturbation to sex toys and even basic biology. We try to cover it all, Ivona says, adding that there's also a section of the booklet specifically for young injured veterans who may be virgins. So sex after their wound would be their first sex ever, which is quite different from what they might have imagined. Katerina Skarakid, Resex's project manager, says they publish separate guides for women and men to ensure respective partners have specific advice tailored to their experiences and their bodies. She stresses, though, that the focus of the project is more on the emotional side than the physical. It's about how you can accept yourself, how you can love yourself, and how you can build a relationship with yourself and your partner after these injuries, with sex and with intimacy in relationships. But they've also learned a great deal about Ukraine's veterans. Specifically, they realized that traumatic brain injuries are often going undiagnosed and undertreated in the country, something she says affects the libido and the whole sexual performance very much. She says it's important to make sure veterans know they don't have to have sex unless they want to, and that sex may be difficult or painful at first.